Okay, so mechanism of action we will be discussing today of bronchodilators. In the last lecture, we discussed the classification of bronchodilators and what are bronchodilators. So all of this we discussed in the previous lecture. So today we will be discussing the mechanism of action of different classes of bronchodilators. Firstly, adrenergic agonists or sympathomimetics. So these causes bronchodilation by the activation of beta 2 adrenoceptor found in the respiratory tract. So as you already know, beta 2 receptors, these are responsible for relaxation of bronchial smooth muscles. Okay? So since these are actually acting as the functional agonist of beta 2 receptor, that is why they are the most effective group of bronchodilators. Okay, that is the thing. So now we will be discussing the mechanism of action. How do they work actually? So adrenergic agonist, or that is a drug that will be administered. Okay, then this drug will interact with different cell types of respiratory tract. Okay, there are different types of cells in the respiratory tract. So for example, inflammatory cells and neutrophil, all of these, or smooth muscle cells. Okay, so this interaction leads to the activation of enzyme adenylate cyclase. Okay, so the drug is administered. That drug will interact with various receptor, beta 2 receptor present on the cells of bronchus. Then this interaction of beta 2 agonist or adrenergic agonist or sympathomimetic drug will lead to activation of the enzyme adenylate cyclase. Okay, and this adenylate cyclase converts ATP to CAMP, cyclic AMP. Okay, and this CAMP acts as second messenger, and this CAMP activates other kinases, other enzymes. Okay, and then these activated kinases then leads to the activation of enzymes, and these enzymes causes smooth muscle relaxation. Okay, so let us try to understand this with the help of a diagram. So this is the diagram. Okay, so it will be much more clear. Okay, so this is the adrenoceptor agonist, that is a drug which we are administering. Okay, this is a beta 2 receptor. This is a beta 2 receptor. So this is the drug which is binding to beta 2 receptor. This is the enzyme adenylate cyclase. This is activated when this drug binds to beta 2 receptor. When this drug binds to beta 2 receptor, this adenylate cyclase enzyme is activated. This adenylate cyclase converts ATP to CAMP. CAMP leads to kinase activation. Kinase converts inactive enzyme into active enzyme, and this active enzyme causes biological effect, that is smooth muscle relaxation. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, so this was about adrenergic agonist or sympathomimetics. Next we have muscarinic receptor antagonist or anticholinergic. Okay, muscarinic receptor antagonist or anticholinergic. So these drugs act by competitively inhibiting the binding of ACS to M3 receptor. Okay, so M3 receptor, as we know, these are the type of cholinergic receptor, and these are actually responsible. These M3 receptors written also here also. M3 receptors are responsible for causing smooth muscle relaxation. Anywhere they are found, for example, in the eye they cause miosis, that is contraction of pupil. Then they cause smooth muscle contraction, bronchial smooth muscle contraction, the respiratory, for which we are concerned right now. Okay, so this is a mechanism of action of muscarinic receptor antagonist or anticholinergic. Next we have the mechanism of action of methylxanthine, also called xanthine. So there are three mechanisms of action, out of which two are very important. We need to know all three, but two are very important. Okay, this is the first one, inhibition of PDE. PDE, that is phosphodiesterase enzyme. Okay, so if we talk about PDE, then there is an enzyme in the cells of bronchial smooth muscle that is called PDE. Okay, so inhibition of PDE. So there is an enzyme in the cells of bronchial smooth muscle which is called PDE. Okay, that is phosphodiesterase, and this PDE is responsible for degradation of CAMP and CGMP. Okay, and this CAMP and CGMP, so methylxanthines block this PDE, and this increases the concentration of CAMP in the cells. This causes muscle relaxation. Okay, so inhibition of PDE, if we talk about inhibition of PDE, then there is an enzyme. If we try to explain this, understand this, then there is an enzyme which is found in the bronchial smooth muscle, which is called PDE, phosphodiesterase enzyme. Okay, and this phosphodiesterase enzyme is responsible for the degradation of CAMP and CGMP, and this CAMP and CGMP are actually responsible for this muscle relaxation. Okay, so when methylxanthines will be administered, so methylxanthine will block this enzyme PDE, so CAMP, CGMP will not be degraded, so this will lead to continuous relaxation of smooth muscles. Okay, continuous relaxation of smooth muscle. All right. Second is alteration of intracellular calcium. So they alter the intracellular calcium by promoting the calcium release for sarcoidosis reticulum. And third mechanism is, this is also very important, just like the first one. This is very important. This is also important. This is also important. Methylxanthine has three mechanisms of action. So third is adenosine receptor antagonism. So adenosine causes bronchoconstriction. So there is an what do we call drug or natural, not drug, natural component or production of secretion of the body, adenosine. It causes bronchoconstriction, and so this category of methylxanthine blocks adenosine receptors. Very easy. Okay, that is why they are called adenosine receptor antagonist. Okay, And lastly, we have leukotriene antagonist. So leukotriene antagonist functions by blocking the synthesis and function of spasmogenic leukotrienes, that is C4D4E4. The spasmogenic leukotrienes are the spasmogenic leukotrienes. So spasm, as we know, repeated contraction, okay, involuntary contraction. So this leukotrienes will be blocked by the function, this C4D4E4. These leukotrienes will be blocked by these drug leukotriene antagonist. Okay.